Sarah Klegman has been a talent manager, a producer, a creative marketing executive, and a challah baker. Give it up for challah. Give it up, challah for challah. Today, Sarah has found a way to parlay her experience into a career as a creative writer and a storyteller, and co-founded the baking company and carb-loving community, Challah Hub. And tonight, Sarah will be delivering a wonderful, and I've heard it so I know, and I can promise you, you're in for a special treat. She's going to deliver a wonderful original piece for all of you that you're going to love. Sarah Klegman, come on up.
Hi, everybody. I'm not going to teach you to dance, but hopefully I'll teach you something else. So last year, after an adverse reaction to medication, I developed tinnitus. It's a constant ringing in your ears. It's lovely. And when I developed tinnitus, I was put through a series of hearing tests. And afterwards, the doctors told me that I had high-frequency hearing loss and that I'd be a great candidate for hearing aids. Hearing aids. Those big, clunky, flesh-colored pieces of machinery stuffed into old man ears. No, I don't need those. I'm fine. You know, it's just that I have to lip read when I'm in loud situations, and my friends know to stand on my left side instead of my right, and sometimes I miss things in, you know, meetings and on important phone calls. Okay, yeah, maybe. So I go to the hearing aid place that my insurance company recommended, and the audiologist welcomes me into his office, and he goes through what sounds like his usual spiel. He has a pair of earbuds on his desk, and they're wired to his computer. He says he's going to put them in, and first I'll hear static, and then they'll turn on. He hands them to me, I put them in, I hear static like he says, and then suddenly there's sounds everywhere. It's like I can see the room around me, but with my ears. I can hear his pants on his chair as he moves to look closer at the screen. He picks up a piece of paper, and I hear it. I hear a piece of paper. I kick my purse on the floor, and I hear everything inside of it move, and I shuffle my feet on the ground, taking so much joy in hearing the synthetic fibers against my shoes. It's like a drug, and I'm greedy for it. We go through pricing, average being $4,000 plus, so I leave his office seeking out a second opinion. I do a little Googling, and I end up in the office of Dr. Stephen Kirsch, an audiologist just up the street from me. He shows me a pair of hearing aids, and they're tiny, like I could accidentally swallow them in a salad and not notice tiny. He tells me the same thing. I'll put them in, I'll hear static. He puts them in, I hear static, and they turn on, and again, it's like my world is in color. Except this time, the other person in the room is just as excited. He taps his fingers on his desk. He picks up a piece of paper and he shakes it around, indulging my greediness for sound. He tells me that I'll have a few things to get used to, that I'll get used to hearing my own voice, that it might be a little overwhelming in loud situations, and that I'll be able to accurately represent myself. I didn't really get that last one, but I would come to. He gave me a pair to test drive, so I get in the car and I go home, and a Mumford & Sons song comes on the radio, right? They're one of my favorite bands. And it's one of my favorite songs, and I hear the violin. I didn't even know there was violin in the song. It was amazing. I have what only can be described as an eargasm. But then some less exciting realizations came to me. Like how maybe those whispers weren't actually that quiet, and how those sex noises may not have been that modest, and how those toots may not have been silent. Oops. Growing up, doctors told me that I had premature hearing loss, but that sentence was never finished with, and hearing aids could make a significant improvement on your life. So my friends and family just continued to think of me as a bad listener, which I guess technically I was, but being called a bad listener hit me in the heart. To me, they were calling me self-absorbed and disinterested. And don't get me wrong, I can be an asshole the same as the next guy, but most of the time, I was trying except just trying to hear can kind of make you look like a jerk. Your eyebrows furrow, your neck cranes out. So after a while, I stopped trying that hard. I told Dr. Kirsch about being called a bad listener. He looked me right in the eye and he said, "But you're a great listener. You're a great listener largely because you and people like you with hearing loss pay such close attention to facial expression and body language that tell so much more than the voice and the words alone." He told me about a lawyer that he worked with, and the lawyer was so afraid of wearing his hearing aids in court because he was worried that if people saw them, it would come off as weak and it would inspire doubt. There's such big stigma with hearing loss and hearing aids that as few as 1 in 5 people who have hearing loss actually do something about it. My first week with hearing aids, I go to a beach house with some friends, super fun, could hear everything. And I kept making these faces because I kept hearing this static, and I thought there was something wrong with the hearing aids, and my friend comes over, and she's like, "Sarah, what's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, I keep hearing this like static noise. I think there's something wrong." And she's like, "Sarah, do you hear it right now?" "Yeah." "And right now?" "Yeah." "Sarah," she says, "those are waves. You're hearing the ocean." I asked Dr. Kirsch when I should tell someone that I'm dating that I have hearing aids. He said, very sweetly, that I should tell them around the time that we start to really care for one another. Which is so sweet, right? More likely, I'll probably just wait until things start getting intimate and they fall out and land in weird places or start blasting audible feedback. Ta-da! So as unsexy as they can be at times, and even though my hearing isn't as bad as most, hearing aids have really changed my life. I believe that shamelessly showing your insecurities makes you a more likable person. Living honestly inspires other people to live honestly. So these days, if I forget my hearing aids, and my friends are like, "Sarah, you got your hearing aids in? Did you hear what I'm saying?" And if I actually did have my hearing aids in, and I didn't hear what they're saying, then I'm just an asshole, but at least I'm an authentic asshole. Thank you.